Hey guys, Sundown Rider here. This is going to be my chapter review to My Hero Academia 203 or Boku no Hero Academia 203 Flexible Juzo Honenuki. And I really enjoyed this chapter, like more than the previous chapters of My Hero Academia, like over the last few weeks. Just getting to see characters I actually care a little bit more about in Shoto and who else did we actually get this chapter? Shoto Ida, especially like Ida and Shoto. I like the tandem we have there, and even seeing like little bits of Shoji and Ojiro. I like Ojiro's design, so just getting to see those characters a little bit more and seeing some more really interesting quirks. It was a solid chapter. We've seen some really interesting quirks up to this point, but just seeing more of them around characters that I actually care about, it was a good thing to see. And I enjoyed it more. So we start with Endeavour being told by his company that he's being bombarded with team-up requests and just random requests, while Endeavour frets over the fact that Shoto has kind of left him on scene on Messenger, and he's just been left on red and he's crying about it basically. So I thought this was a really pure moment in Endeavour's kind of growth and in how he's changing. And it goes to show just how much Endeavour has changed from that toxic, self-centered, forceful man to a more caring, more thoughtful, and more fatherly figure. And notice that I've said more caring and more thoughtful because he hasn't become that pinnacle of thoughtfulness yet, or that really fatherly figure as of yet. He's just becoming more and more fatherly and careful and thoughtful and caring and all that stuff as he continues on this journey. So I really like that. I really appreciated that, because there's still a lot of people who hate on Endeavour, and I'm just like, he's a man that's trying to change. He should be given credit for that, and let's see where he takes this. So so he mentions again this technique that he wants to pass on to Shoto. The same technique his other son, Dabi, sorry, what was that? I got a sore throat, man. But say this other son couldn't control. So he wants to pass on this technique. So going back to the test between classes, we have Tetsu Tetsu continuing to make noise whilst Class 1A approaches. And it's here that Juzo stifles kind of Pony's complaining, telling her that Tetsu Tetsu's noise will most likely attract the enemy team here, because that's the type of people they are. And he also makes an assumption as to what their formation will be like, which I thought was very intelligent of... what's his name? I literally just said his name. Where is it? Of Juzo. With Shoji out to scout, and I don't even have the name down, but Shoto spearheading the attack. Now this doesn't actually take a lot of like progressive thinking to figure out, but it's good clarity of mind for a young lad during a pressure situation, because it's not quite high stakes as of yet, but it is a pressure situation. So right on cue, Shoto freezes the entire enemy team and the ground, a very key point, and the idea is to prevent Juzo from using his earth softening quirk. I was going to say technique, like this is Naruto or something like that. So it's very specifically mentioned that Shoto froze the earth as well, because he didn't want Juzo to soften up the ground. Now Ida prepares to go in using Recipro Burst, I think it was, only for all of the ice to suddenly soften and basically almost melt away from Team B. We get an explanation of Juzo's quirk here, which is softening. Anything he touches he can soften, and he can soften anything apart from living things, and if he touches it again, the effect is nullified or released. Now two other things that I mentioned here: his hero name is Mudman, a very, very creative name, and he was accepted into UA via recommendation. I think he was the one remaining guy who we didn't know about in terms of recommendations. I don't know if that's the actual case. It might be, but he was accepted via recommendation. So Ojiro is super impressed by how quickly Juzo reacted, being able to activate his quirk before being frozen. Now, I wasn't as impressed as Ojiro, because I was like, wouldn't his quirk have been able to be activated even if he was fully frozen? I mean, like the requirements of his quirk are that the requirement of his quirk is that as long as he's in contact with something that's non-living, he should be able to soften anything, right? So as long as he's touching the ice in some form, he should be able to soften the ice, right? Unless I'm wrong, you tell me. Now the counter attack begins. Ojiro slips as his footing softens beneath him, with Juzo telling his opponents that he randomly softened areas around like the surrounding perimeter, and so nothing is a 100% trustworthy foothold. Once again, very progressive thinking, very key in a strategist's mind. And Juzo seems to be that kind of, not only a strategist, but like he seems to have a very tactical based mind. Now here we see Sen Kaibara attack Ojiro with his quirk, which is Gyrate. This is a really cool quirk, and I can't quite remember what it reminds me of. I think it might be something from One Piece. Maybe there's a double fruit, or maybe it's from somewhere else, but it really does remind me of something I've seen in a manga or anime or something like that, somewhere before. But essentially, he can spin any part of his body like a drill, so he uses his arms kind of like it's really a Beedrill fashion. Someone look up Beedrill from Pokemon, like the original Pokemon, and you'll see that it looks exactly the same in terms of like, you know, two arms in a drill-like fashion. He's Beedrill. Senkaibara is Beedrill, essentially, when he's using his arms. So while Ojiro struggles with Senkaibara, Ida is swallowed mostly into the ground by Juzo Honenuki, who believes that Ida is useless without a foothold, seeing as his thing is kind of like leg strength, which is a very good tactic once again. I mean, like, if Ida's whole thing is he's incredibly fast because he has engines in his legs, which and his leg strength naturally through those engines allows him to like propel himself at incredible speeds, and you need solid footing to be able to do that. If the ground gives way beneath you, the forces they don't oppose equally and stuff like that. It's, you know, just physics it out, and you'll realize that Ida needs a decent foothold in order to use his leg strength. So once again a very good tactical mindset from Juzo. Whilst this is happening, Shoji gets decked by Pony, still a weird ass name, and her quirk, which is Horn Cannon. She can fire horns and is able to control the movements, kind of like remote control, of up to 4 of the horns at one time. So Shoji's large frame is propelled backwards, like fully propelled backwards into a wall, showing just how strong Pony's head cannon is, or horn cannons are. While this is happening, Tetsu breaks through Shoto's ice and chokeslams him, essentially. With this, Shoto and Shoji are down, Ojiro is in a pickle, and Ida is incapacitated. Juzo then questions Ida on why he was about to use Recipro, a move he previously had displayed some sort of time limit for. And Ida basically says, bruh, Ingenium goes full tilt full time. That's essentially what he says, and he activates a higher form of Recipro called Recipro Turbo, breaking away the ground behind him. And that's how the comeback, I assume, begins. So that's the end of the chapter. Solid chapter. I really enjoyed it. Dabi, there's definitely something going on with Dabi, Endeavour, and Shoto. Dabi's got to be some form of like the son that we're missing in the Enji family, or was it the Todoroki family? Sorry, Enji's Endeavour. But yeah, Dabi's got to have something to do with that. And the quirks we've seen so far are cool. But I fully believe Shoto and his team are gonna get out on top on this one. So let me know what you guys thought of this chapter. Let me know what you guys thought of this review. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And hopefully tomorrow, sometime in the morning, I hope, most likely going to be noon or afternoon, but I hope it's in the morning, I should release my Nanatsu no Taizai review. I'm going to read that chapter right now, so like, just wait for that. It should be good. It's called The Prince of Darkness, and I can't wait for it. But yeah, enough waffling, and a little bit of baffling. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought of all of this stuff. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys in a bit.